So today, this is lecture number 11. It's on honesty. However, we're going to start out by covering the responses to the attendance question last week. So I have those, Veronica put them in there right here. So the question was, have you witnessed sexual harassment in the workplace, discrimination against women or minorities, negative comments towards women or minorities? Please describe the situation, put your name on a sheet of paper and turn it in. So let me show you what we got. One comment I would make is this class came up with a surprising number of such cases. So, first answer, when working at a customer site, a steel mill, it was obvious that the company promoted discrimination against women. I sat in a meeting consisting of male employees of various pay scales, from executives to maintenance workers. The entire meeting was filled with sexual comments about the few women who were employed at the mill. The executives were leading the conversation. Being disgusted, I notified my employer, and we promptly stopped doing business with the steel mill by marking up all of our products with a bigot tax. Interesting. So this person did something. What do you think? What's your reaction? I think the student was in their rights, of course, to do what they did. I'm surprised the company went along with them a little bit, because this is a customer. I mean, money, unless the company already has lots of business. So this company seems to, walk the walk too. It's pretty impressive, because a lot of companies, I don't know if they would do that, right? Because it affects the bottom line. They may come up with a more middle of the road solution, like saying something to the executives at the company and trying to fix the behavior. Some companies would take that approach so that they wouldn't lose their business. Okay? If you have any comments, just jump in. I'm going to go to the next one. Yes, I've seen sexual harassment in the workplace, which affects everyone in the workplace as a whole. I specifically saw butt slapping and brought it up with my manager. Oh, it's tough. I think the first comment, first off, from this person here in class, is really right on target. That it affects the workplace as a whole. It sets an environment, right? It sets a real bad environment. I wonder what happened in this situation as a result of this person bringing it up with the manager. We don't know if this is a woman or man who turned this in, okay? And if they brought it up to the manager, was something done about it? Okay, did they follow up? And then there's another issue here that is a little bit difficult, because they're acting on behalf of someone else to a great extent. Question you might ask is in their rights to act on behalf of someone else? Now, I have my own personal opinion. In this situation, what do you think? Is it in their rights to act on behalf of someone else? Anyone? To an extent. What do you mean?
They thought it could possibly happen to them.
Okay, they want to stop before it got to them. It also sets, in a certain sense, they have a right to bring it up, because it can, whether it happened to you or not, it can be offensive to you. It's setting a bad professional environment for you. Now, of course, the person here that was harassed may not want anybody to step in on their behalf. So that becomes a bit of a sticky issue. But regardless, it doesn't belong in the workplace. I think the person's probably pretty much in their rights to say something. Now, they're going to have to decide, we go to the manager, whether they say who did what. Okay? Maybe perpetrator or the person, the victim either. You know, they may not want to name either of those people. They might just inform the boss, their manager, this is going on, and then simply ask the manager to bring it up at the next staff meeting, and you know, that might be a one way to handle it. Is the victim in this case liable to do something? I mean, we can make no assumptions about gender here. The victim could be male or female. But are they liable to do something to end this kind of stuff so it doesn't happen to other people? Well, one yes. Anybody say no? I'll take the other side. I have a little bit of a problem with saying that somebody else ought to do something in this case because you may not understand the full situation. I'd be really careful with that. I do think, though, it's within your rights to go talk to the person, the victim, and say, you know, I'm sorry, I saw that. Would you like me to say something? You know, something like that. Yes.
Well, I mean, it also completely depends on the context of the situation. But if it was like an appropriate situation, I would say they're liable just because, like you said, the professional workplace, you don't, nothing wrong there.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it was like a buddy just like joking around, like two guys or something. That's a little bit different. And in that case, I don't think anyone's really gonna care. And then you probably wouldn't be liable. But if it became offensive and like maybe people have talked to a few guys before, then I would definitely say they're liable.
How many times has it happened?
What does it say?
Just like everyone.
It doesn't say. So I don't know the answer to that unless the person wants to speak up right now. I don't know how often this is going on. There's no way to tell from the case. And you know, that's kind of realistic in terms of case. If you start with employment at the company, you walk in, you see this, you first day, you don't know the context either. You don't know how long this is going on or what, you know, so it's complicated. Okay, next. I previously worked at a job where I was asked to review applicants for a sales job that involved face-to-face sales of a highly technical product. I recommended someone that was familiar with the product and had experience in sales. They ended up hiring a woman applicant with no technical ability for the product and was hired for being the prettiest, I was told. Okay, so anybody's reaction? My first reaction to this is a little, the student can defend himself if they like, but I'd call into question a little bit here whether this person was able to assess the woman's technical ability. You know, I'm not sure how well they understood that. I guess you have to trust that that's the case, but I'm a little concerned. I mean, this may have been a woman that's demonstrated excellent technical abilities in other areas and is a quick learner. And maybe a really great choice. Where, you know, using this kind of a rumor that she was hired for being the prettiest could be dangerous because it may not at all be true. It depends, right? So, I don't know. It's really hard to assess what's really going on there without being the person who did the hiring, without assessing, you know, technical skills, and those things probably aren't going to happen. Comments? During an internship, I witnessed several fellow male interns blatantly stating that a female intern should stick to writing our documentation because the technical work is too hard or too much. This is pretty offensive to anyone, even if they are incompetent, but it was clear that the words were said due to her being a woman. Ouch. That's a pretty tough situation. Okay. And you know, I've heard of a number of cases like this, and you know, it does happen. And you look, men, assess people based on their technical skills, if you will. Be an engineer. I mean, and the other stuff, gender, color, race, whatever, just doesn't matter. I mean, really, if you're a professional, it's about competence and behavior, in particular competence. If the person's competent, so be it. Okay? This could be pretty tough on an individual, right? I mean, it's likely what's going to happen in this situation. You're going to drive her to go find a job somewhere else, and maybe not in engineering, okay? Because of the mistreatment. Yes, jobs that are only open to people with citizen or green card. So I was thinking about this on the way over from our office. So this person is, because I asked for two key things: gender and like discrimination issues of any sort. So discrimination is racial discrimination. I think what we're talking about here is discrimination. The person I assume is talking about discrimination based on nation of origin. So, is this discrimination? There's one person in the class thinks so. Somebody said no. Why? Could be a security issue with a lot of times the citizenship or green card is associated with jobs for companies. They're doing work for the military, and you're considered, a security risk in the beginning. And however, you get your green card. I think it only takes a green card and you're accepted to most companies. You're almost considered a citizen by U.S. government, military people if you have a green card. You're not there, but you're almost there. So that's the issue. Anybody else like to comment? Yes.
Sometimes it's also the budget issues. The company might not have enough budget to sponsor a person, so they have to take up like an.
Yeah, there is a budgetary issue here. I don't know. Do you happen to know the amount of money a company has to pay to sponsor an international student to get a green card?
It depends on the lawyer they hire. It could cost up to like $50,000.
How much?
Up to $50,000.
50,000? Yeah, I've heard of cases of 15 and 20,000 myself. So it is expensive. So you might call it discrimination, but it's just cold hard cash. I can hire someone.
It also depends on the level of education they are in.
Yeah.
If it's a PhD student, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right. PhD students, they're bringing them in, and of course, they're printing green cards for PhD students and master students, for the most part. PhD for sure. So it gets a little tougher down for bachelors. But yeah, I've never heard of a case of an engineering PhD student from another country that couldn't stay in this country. Have you ever heard of a case? I've never heard of a case. I mean, and that's a lot of students I've dealt with. So, and the other thing I was thinking about when I was walking across campus is, I wonder what policies from other countries are. Because in Europe, you're going to have a lot harder time getting a job, being able to get a job in Europe, most countries in Europe, compared to the United States, and getting immigration. You're going to have a harder time, generally speaking. Canada is easier. U.S. is easier. But I don't know about, so there's a lot of, countries like Europe that you're not going to be able to get in easy. Okay? I don't know about other countries around the world. Let's say India. Are you from India?
Yeah.
All right. So in India, let's say I move to India and I want to get a job and become an Indian citizen. Is that hard?
I don't think anyone comes to India for an Indian job or something, but I'm pretty much sure Indian companies usually don't offer visa sponsorship or anything.
They don't offer visa sponsorship.
Most of the companies don't.
I see.
But it's easier in UAE and Australia.
UAE and Australia, it's easier to get in. Yeah. Yes, over here.
Just another comment on this answer. It would be hard for the government to track taxation and stuff like that if you're not, registered with them. So that's, in terms of keeping a record of who is paying
gotta have a work permit at least, right? And then it's tracked. I mean, and they have to pay taxes and so on and so forth. So, okay, any other comments? I have usually seen women being hired based off of their appearance, but a small weight is put onto their qualifications. So this is related to the previous one. And again, I don't know, I guess I challenge this person. I want to get, I'm trying to be confrontational here, okay? I mean, really? I mean, companies are trying to make money. They're going to hire the best people they think will help their company make money, right? So I have a hard time believing. I have a hard time believing this. I mean, maybe I know this kind of stuff can happen. I understand that. I mean, how many of you will get hired because you're a Buckeye and like to talk about football? That's discrimination. See what I'm saying? I mean, because it's a non-technical reason. Yes, that's happened. That's happened in the great state of Ohio. I mean, I'm sure it is. So, you know, there's all kinds of other things that come up, but, you know, to say that the woman is hired based on their appearance rather than qualifications, you may be able to judge appearance by looking at somebody, your one opinion, but judging their technical competence is really rather difficult. I can't see how you can assess somebody's technical competence without spending quite a bit of time with them and evaluating their work. I mean, I know that from working with students. Somebody walks in my office, I have no idea how good they are technically. That takes a lot of time. As far as minorities, they're usually hired only to fill a quota and are usually treated with less sympathy than whites. Comments? I don't know. See, I'm not a minority, so it is less sympathy than whites thing, and I can believe it. I'm not doubting it. I just said, I wonder what the specific details are on that. Are they tougher on him in evaluations? You know, like the performance evaluation end of the year. Are they not as friendly to him? Are they sympathetic means they may not. If they have a personal issue, they don't listen to it. I'm having a hard time with that word sympathetic. But that's because I don't understand what the person's getting at. Fill in the quota, I really don't know. So clue me in here. What's the quota mean? Does a company, yes?
There are companies who, I know the government requires so many veterans to be hired.
Veterans to be hired, yes.
And it's affirmative action required by some non-government, some by the company itself.
Yeah, and then companies in the tech areas been in the news lately, right? Trying to get better diversity, and they've revealed their numbers, like Google, right? What was Google's numbers? I forget. I was low. I was like 15% or something. People hear that in the news, and most of the general public is like, they're discriminating. Now, think about it for a minute. Is Google discriminating or not? What's the percentage of women in the College of Engineering? No, come on. 19%. Alright? College of Engineering is 19% women. Minorities is quite a bit lower. Okay? With respect, so what I'm saying is Google's got a real challenge because they don't have the graduates with the diversity. Okay? If they don't have the graduates with the diversity, how can you blame them for not making the hires? Alright, so this is a real difficult issue in this field. We need to get started up. We need to get the diversity improved. I mean, just think about it for a minute. Think of it this way: we want our field, electrical engineering or engineering in general, to be successful, right? How can we be successful when we ignore half the talent? I know it's not quite half. We have in electrical engineering, I think it's around 10% women. It's a lot lower than college. But if you're ignoring a significant percent somehow of the talent pool, the profession's not going to do as well. You can make the same statement about countries that shut their women out of activities in their country of all sorts. How is a country going to succeed these days by ignoring half their talent? I mean, or oppressing half their talent in some cases. There's just no way. Next, yes, I've seen a maintenance mechanical manager who wasn't comfortable working around women. So he decided not to hire any women to his facility. This is unusual. Okay. So, I'm not sure how to react to this one. I'm a little concerned about this, why this person isn't comfortable working around a woman, and he may be dangerous. I mean, he may be, a real harasser, and he's trying to not do it, so he's trying to stay away. You wonder about something like that. And then it creates this very uncomfortable situation where you end up with a facility that has male bias. Okay? Yes?
Maybe he's just really backward.
He could be really backward too, that's right. Yeah, I've heard engineers have bad reputations about being nerds and geeks and all of this. I think I was saying to somebody out in the hall before we walked in, I think that these comments that come from men, I think some of the times, is because someone's socially awkward and says unreasonable things to everybody, not just women. And then they get with a woman, they might be particularly uncomfortable, and it just becomes a mess. They're just nerdy. I mean, so I'm not trying to blame everything on that at all. Of course, I'm just saying there's some percentage of the cases I think that are probably like that when it comes to social comments, at least. Yes, I work in production as a girl. Many of the male line managers, coworkers of equal status, would ask and joke behind my back if any of them had me yet. It was like a game, who could talk to me. Wow. That's an uncomfortable situation to be in, isn't it? That's a highly uncomfortable situation. I don't know, this woman's in our class right now, so they don't know, what you should do about something like this. You talk, these are co-workers of equal status that are saying this to her. The first thing I think about is, get a job somewhere else. This is unreasonable. But the question is should you say something to these people? Or if you're not comfortable doing that, if you don't feel safe doing that, for instance, do you talk to the boss? And they're going to know who it is then who's talking to the boss. The woman in this situation is put in a highly uncomfortable situation, I would say. Of course, this is obviously highly unprofessional. This is a good case of life. You need to be professional because it impacts, generally on two groups. Number one, everybody else. You offend people, you mistreat them in different ways. It also affects your personal integrity. Okay? And I think it's both of those things your professionalism impacts. In this situation, she has coworkers that are highly unprofessional. Okay? And the question is how to cope with it. I think this would be an extremely stressful situation to be in. Is my take on it. I feel for her. I mean, I think that's like, wow, what a tough situation to be in. Fortunately, right now, the economy's pretty good. People are getting jobs all over the place, right? You go somewhere else. The question is, should you say something to this organization on your way out, for instance? I don't know. That's a difficult decision. Okay, any comments? Okay, one new employee was starting her training and all the guys were fighting to train her because she looked so good. She didn't get trained well. I don't know. I mean, it's related to the other issues there. looks. I'm not sure why she didn't get trained well. I mean, maybe the person that won the fight wasn't so confident themselves, right? Maybe that, or maybe he was flirting the whole time. Who knows what was going on? But again, it's clearly very unprofessional. My boss was pregnant, and one of her colleagues would state implications it has on her position behind her back, even if these implications were false. Oh, that's kind of catty. It's some of this stuff with respect to professionalism. You know, there's professionalism, competence, and behavior, but behavior is sometimes non-technical. This is a non-technical issue, right? And it's clearly just not professional to be saying things like that behind her back. I'm not sure why a person would do it. Maybe she just didn't like her. I don't know. Any comments? A guy at my work who's the son of one of the partners says things like, "That's gay," or a few times he has said, "That's hot," to me, and one time basically took off his shirt in the middle of work to show me his tattoo, which I didn't ask to see. There have been other incidents with him, but those are the best examples. Well, I mean, you know, that's just plain weird. Taking your shirt off to show someone your tattoo in work and making these other comments, clearly it's not professional. I mean, in these kind of situations, a lot of times the best thing to do is say something to the person. Explain to them what it means to be a professional and how this is just unacceptable. Next, I've seen pictures of naked women in working areas. It was where the engineers were not often, however, it was known by multiple engineers that they were there. No one said anything because the workers, non-engineers, were union workers, and the union on the job was very powerful. I don't know. I would think that you would be able to, in a delicate way, talk to the union boss or some leader and end this. I think it's easier than what you think. The union's supposed to have standards too. I mean, they're not, sort of above professionalism or something like that. So I think you can do something about the situation. You might have to do it carefully, but I think you can do something. Next, through many job shadow opportunities, I have noticed that large companies were the only ones with women engineers. I always wonder if women do not apply to positions at the less known smaller companies, or if the smaller companies act like boys-only clubs. Anybody? They're wondering, okay, what do you think? Have you seen that? That the smaller companies don't have women for this reason? Yes.
Most of the employer wants you to hire a fairly attractive female because they felt that she would be a distraction to the other workers.
Was it a small company?
Smallish.
Smallish, okay. I had a woman come to me last year with a case, and she worked at a smaller company, and this was exactly the issue. She ended up leaving and not going. She said it basically felt like a fraternity, and she was really just uncomfortable. Those are uncomfortable situations. The question is do you stand and fight, or do you just take off and go get a job somewhere else? I don't know. That's good. That's a tough decision. Okay. Questions, comments? Okay, we're ready to start on our lecture today. I'm going to skip the cartoon since we're... No, I'm not going to skip the cartoon. I love this cartoon. Today at school, I tried to decide whether to cheat on my test or not. I wondered, is it better to do the right thing and fail, or is it better to do the wrong thing and succeed? On the one hand, undeserved success gives no satisfaction, but on the other hand, well-deserved failure gives no satisfaction either. Of course, most everybody cheats sometime or other. People always bend the rules if they think they can get away with it. Then again, that doesn't justify my cheating. Then I thought, look, cheating on one little test isn't such a big deal. It doesn't hurt anyone. But then I wondered if I was just rationalizing my unwillingness to accept the consequence of not studying. Still, in the real world, people care about success, not principles. Then again, maybe that's why the world is in such a mess. What a dilemma. So what did you decide? Nothing. I ran out of time and had to turn in a blank paper. Anymore, simply acknowledging the issue is a moral victory. Well, it just seemed wrong to cheat on an ethics test. Okay. So, truthfulness. Being honest in everyday life. People lie for all kinds of reasons in everyday life, right? You know, you might say, you know, I think your new haircut looks nice, and you're thinking to yourself, oh my goodness. You know, whatever. There's all kinds of reasons that people make little lies all the time. The problem is in engineering, the standard for truthfulness is really quite a bit higher than in everyday life. All right? So, why is that the case? Well, there's so much at stake. You can't lie about your specification on the product if it's going to impact safety, okay? Or health, or the environment, or general human well-being. So we're expected to speak the truth conscientiously and avoid all the acts of deception. So on the workplace, to be a professional, you have to be honest, and it's not easy to always hold up such a high standard of honesty, higher than in typical life, in typical living. So two of the 6 fundamental canons in the NSP Code of Ethics focus on honesty. There's Canon 3 that requires engineers to issue public statements only in an objective and truthful manner. Canon 5 requires engineers to avoid deceptive acts. And then the IEEE code says to be honest and realistic in stating claims or estimates, and to seek, accept, and offer honest criticism of technical work. Let's do a case. An engineer who's an expert in hydrology and a key associate with a medium-sized engineering consulting firm gives the firm her 2-week notice intending to change jobs. The senior engineer manager at the consulting firm continues to distribute the firm's brochure, which lists her as an employee of the firm. Now, you can just Google NSPER, blah, blah, and see the very detailed analysis of this case. NSPE committee says this is unethical because you're misrepresenting your expertise. You're stating you have this woman as an employee when you don't. That can affect whether you're going to get business. Okay?
Was it still within the 2 weeks or after? Because if it's still within the 2 weeks, which I pretty much stays.
Well,
Still an employee, so what's the matter?
I think I agree. If it's within the 2 weeks, fine. But I think what the implication is in the way this was discussed by them, they assumed that it went on longer. The website wasn't updated. So the question is how long is it reasonable to let that website not get updated? Next case. A city advertised a position for a city engineer public works director, seeking to fill the position before the incumbent director retires in order to facilitate a smooth transition. The top candidate selected after an extensive screening process, and on March 10th, the engineer agrees to start on April 10th. By March 15th, the engineer begins to express doubts about being able to start on April 10th, and after negotiations, the deadline was extended to April 24th, based on a firm commitment by the engineer to start on that date. On April 23rd, the engineer says he's decided not to take the position. And they say it violates codes of ethics. It's unprofessional what this person's doing. If you're going to negotiate in good faith, negotiate in good faith. Your word has to mean something, okay? And it's unprofessional and can be unethical because otherwise these people aren't hiring somebody else, right? And they need to get the work started. Next case. An engineer working in an environmental engineering firm directs a field technician to sample the contents of storage drums on the premises of a client. The technician reports back that the drums most likely contain hazardous waste and hence require removal according to state and federal regulations. Hoping to advance future business relationships with the client, the engineer merely tells the client the drums contain questionable material and recommends their removal, thereby giving the client greater leeway to dispose of the material inexpensively. While not adhering to environmental standards, it's clear. You see there's a sort of dishonesty at play here in what is happening. It was sort of a bending of the rules. So, engineers' truthfulness, well, we certainly shouldn't lie, or intentionally distort or exaggerate specifications on technical products, withhold relevant information, except for, of course, confidential information, proprietary information that gives you a competitive advantage for your company. You shouldn't claim undeserved credit. This is a problem in the workplace. Sometimes people claim credit for doing some work when it was really their colleague, or other misrepresentations designed to deceive. So what is trustworthiness? Well, truthfulness, and you try to meet responsibilities of trust. You want, essentially, overall, engineers to be perceived as honest people so that the public can trust us. When we come out and say that something's unsafe, we want them to listen and act in the proper way, okay? I want to frame this discussion. I think it becomes much more tangible if we talk about it in terms of this class or OSU in general or this department. So, academic integrity, much of it's about honesty, right? There's cheating. Now, there's a technical definition, but we all know what cheating is. Bringing, he used crib notes. Usually that would be a phone today or some other device. Copying from another set or Googling things during an examination. Fabrication would be intentionally falsifying or inventing information, for example, by faking the results of an experiment. Today, you can go in the lab, take any ECE lab, and you get some data. You put in the plot, right? Well, of course, programs edit EPS files or whatever's created by MATLAB. You can make it anything you want. You can cook your data, you can change it, and make it look like it comes out right. You can cheat easy in that case. Plagiarism, intentionally or negligently submitting others' work as one's own, for instance, by quoting the work of others by not using quotation marks. This is, maybe this is going to be on the decline, because, Carmen checks everyone's submissions and compares against the internet and past submissions. Carmen. So you really don't want to do that, at least for the homeworks and projects for this class. Intentionally helping other students engage in academic dishonesty. I had a case last year where a guy had his buddy had finished the homework for this class, snapped off a photo with his phone, texted it to all his friends, and everybody's homework comes in the same. It's like, they all went up on academic misconduct. Okay, so the person is sitting in my office says, well, I didn't do anything. I was like, you took the picture. I mean, you're facilitating cheating. That's just as bad. Okay. Misrepresentation, intentionally giving false information to an instructor, for like lying about why one missed a test. Years ago, I was in the faculty lounge having lunch, and somehow it came up, this one student, the professor said, oh, this student's, uncle died, it's terrible. Every faculty member at the table, 4 of us, said different cases where this person's aunts and uncles had died within the past month. All right, now maybe that's possible, but failure to contribute to a collaborative project, failing to do one's share on a joint project, like your final project, okay? Sabotage, intentionally preventing others from doing their work by disrupting your lab experiment. Theft, by stealing, for example, stealing library books or other students' property. Okay, so how many people seen academic misconduct of this type at OSU since they arrived? Raise your hand. Oh, that's a relatively low percentage. Wow, it's gone down. Good. It's no fun to see it. It is complicated because you understand that if you see it, you're liable to submit, documentation. sorry, I just didn't see it. I was watching these people. She said, yeah, they were very discreet. They were very good. I said, well, turn it in. I'm behind you. Let's, no, come on. So, you know, sometimes it's incumbent upon students to turn it in and they will not. Sometimes it's always incumbent upon a faculty member to turn it in. By university rules, I'm liable to turn in a case, period. If I even suspect it. I'm not allowed to judge a case. All right, that's good because I might be really tough, throw you out of the class, throw you out of the university, whatever. Whereas another faculty might let you off. So they send it to one office, that office deals with everything in a consistent and fair manner. Okay? So we're liable to do it. I have heard a number of times though where faculty have not done that. There's very clear cases of cheating and where a student knew that a faculty saw the cheating. Why wouldn't a faculty turn it in? I'll tell you why. Because for me to turn in a case, I gotta fill out a form about this long. This is OSU. Okay? I got this big long form to fill out. It's a pain. It is a pain. Okay, so you know what? I'm not defending the faculty though. The faculty are supposed to do that. There's other cases, I think, of faculty unethical behavior that I've seen. Failure to show up for class. Now, if you screw up once, okay. Everybody screws up. Okay, yeah, they screws. I've done it once in 25 years. I was sitting in my office, working, doing math or something. Somebody comes in, comes to say, 45 minutes, the student shows up, where were you? Like, for what? It's terrible, So, I felt terrible, but, so these things happen. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is faculty that regularly do this, okay? Don't show up to class, show up 15 minutes late every time, et cetera, okay? This condescending thing is a problem sometimes in our department. I've even heard of faculty yelling at a student. I mean, that's absolutely absurd, unprofessional. If you run into, a professor that's condescending and yells at you or anything, mistreats you, you go right to the department chair. And you're well within your rights to do it. I mean, do it. We gotta end that kind of stuff. Okay? I don't think it's happening that much, or does anyone have counterexamples? I mean, you always hear scuttlebutt, but don't think it's going on too much in our department these days. But it has in the past, I know that. Okay, failure to monitor exams. This is a complicated issue. It might seem obvious to you that as a professor, if you have an exam in this class, I ought to stand in here and monitor it so nobody cheats. It seems obvious, right? Well, if you've been here long enough, the first 10 years or so I was here, there was the students, ECE students, made up the code of ethics for our department. And one of the things that was just like highlighted and underlined was no prof stays in the room while examination is going on. They thought it was very like imposing or like, threatening or whatever. GTA. Nobody but the students. Yeah, it's amazing. But that went away after the university centralized academic code of misconduct about 15 years ago. Okay, but there are old professors around who still remember that and are used to that thing. If they walk out, they may think they're following the rules. They don't know the rules though. Okay?
15 years.
You having trouble with that?
And they don't know. That's like 60 quarterly memos.
You understand? Yeah. You don't think we're getting a memo about this every day. That happened when it was initially changed, that they delete the email, or don't even answer email, or don't even know how to answer email.
Well, it's mentioned at the beginning of every single course.
Oh. Depends on who's running the course. Okay, so this one's a tough one, this reuse of old exams. So, is the prof just being lazy? Or, the question is whether the old exam has been out there, who knows about it. When I teach a number of my classes, undergrad, I just hand out old exams. That way everybody's on a level But for grad class, it's a little different because it's very hard to make up examinations at the graduate level and projects at the graduate level that are different every year. So I repeat some. And that's just the way it is. I mean, I can't come up with other problems. It's a very unique situation. So could cheating be going on and I partly at fault? Could be. I just don't know. Don't know. So, question: is the above related to the engineering workplace, like giving credit where credit is due? You know, the fundamental problem with turning in one of the problems with turning in somebody else's work as your own for a homework assignment is that you're not giving credit where credit is due. It's also a misrepresentation of expertise. It's saying I have this expertise when I do not have that expertise. It certainly doesn't set up a very professional environment. That's without a doubt. We're at the end. We finished a little bit early. Here's the attendance question. Rate on a scale of 0 to 1 the likelihood that a person who has a low academic integrity, that is, they cheat